What is up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Happy week one, baby. Woo! John, you ready?
I am so ready for the beginning of the fantasy football season. The beginning of the football season.
It's glorious.
We're here for a reason, and this is why we started this. So, welcome to the true week one of the Fantasy Tap.
Boom.
Really happy to have everyone here. Again, thanks everyone for all the support we've been getting, all the downloads, the likes, the ratings and reviews. It really means a lot, and we've been killing it. Way above our expectations, honestly. Did not expect to have this much of a following before the season even got started. Thank you again.
So just to give everybody a little background, we set a goal for ourselves to have 1,000 downloads by game one. By the first game, we did our Sunday Live mock draft Sunday, launched that episode, and ladies and gentlemen, 3 more downloads. That's all we need to hit that goal. We're going to crush it, and it is all thanks to you.
Damn, that's crazy. I was just looking at this earlier. It wasn't that high.
You got 23 today, man.
Wow. Love it. You guys are great.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. So we are going to hit that goal, and we appreciate it. But anyways, let's go over our show overview real quick. We've got news. We've got must-haves, and we've got bold predictions. Very excited for this.
Very excited. These must-haves are going to be people that
we're planting our flag, baby.
We're stating that we are dying with these people this season. We are taking them whenever available. We think that they're going to be people that can win you your leagues.
We know.
We know.
As good as we can, we know.
We are in love with these people and just think that they're great values, especially where some of them are going right now. Just people that we actually do enjoy picking up. I like my guys. They're going to win you your games.
100%.
They're going to help me beat Mike in some games this season.
Yeah, he's never beat me.
That's not true.
I'm just kidding.
Don't lie to the people.
I'm sorry. But we got a ton of news for you today. So before we jump into that, though, I want to talk about the beer that we are drinking on today. It is the Elysian Space Dust. It's an IPA, one of our buddies' favorite beers. Aaron, shout out if you're listening.
Shout out AA Ron.
So great beer, very bitter. We'll get into that later. But let's jump into this news. First off the press is Raquel Armstead. He is on the COVID list, but Jacksonville was saying that he's going to be on the COVID list for quote-unquote a while. Obviously, there's no time frame yet, but not looking good for him. This is the second time on the list. So how are you deciphering that backfield at this point?
I believe that the only person that has a clear-cut role, and that's just because he's a veteran, he's someone who's always had the same role I'm expecting from him, and that's going to be Chris Thompson. Just not so much a pure runner, but more of a pass-catching back just catching passes out of the backfield, obviously, and then having other guys around him that are going to be taking that lead rushing role. And personally, with who they have, they do have the rookie, James Robinson.
Yeah, James Robinson.
I think that he's going to be taking over a nice little role, but that's not going to be a little bit till later. They are talking about, with Raquel Armstead being out, James Robinson maybe having a small share. So I'm seeing just a committee there with Chris Thompson being the primary pass catcher. And so with him, he's currently getting drafted at ADP 130, which puts him in the back end of the 11th round, or the beginning of the 11th, maybe the back end of the 10th. I might take a pickup on him. I do know that Bryce Love is going right next to him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm personally might grab Bryce Love just on the upside because it is a late round that you're grabbing them, and that's usually where I'm grabbing my upside players.
Right.
But say he's not there, I like the floor, or I need some sort of
floor.
Small stability.
Yeah.
I would take Chris Thompson with the hope that he does have a large role in that pass-catching game, with Leonard Fournette getting 75 targets last season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you there. I guess it really depends on how you are building your team. Like you said, if you need a lower or some sort of stability, like you said, Chris Thompson's the way to go. Bryce Love could pay off, for a high upside guy. There's a couple other players going around him, and they're not running backs. But I just wanted to ask you, Preston Williams, Anthony Miller are going right in front and behind him. Are those guys you like, if you're grabbing a flex player, are those guys you like more than Chris Thompson?
Yeah, I like Anthony Miller a lot more than Chris Thompson and a little bit more than Preston Williams. But I'd grab Anthony Miller out of those three absolutely without even questioning it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I personally I'd grab Preston, but I would definitely take either of those two guys over Chris Thompson. So, anyways, let's move on to our next piece of news. AP got cut, then AP got signed by the Lions to a 1-year deal. So, a Washington football team let him go, got signed a couple days later. He's happy, but I really think that it shows is kind of telling on DeAndre Swift and the injury, and obviously they need depth and they're a little bit concerned, it seems like, about his injury. Maybe not, missing games or missing a ton of games, but it's definitely concerning, especially for a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, it might not only be the Swift depth or the Swift injury that they're thinking about, their depth need. It could also be the fact that Keenan just missed the back end of last season because of his own injury, and possibility that just, hey, neither one of these people are fully healthy, and might not believe either one of them to be able to carry the full season by themselves. So, and obviously you have Adrian Peterson there, who's someone who's going to be a Hall of Fame running back. You've got two young running backs there for them. So you're probably bringing them in there to take over a role, hopefully coach and help those guys progress. But I think it just hurts everyone in that situation. I don't see anyone getting more carries than they were prior. I mean, Adrian Peterson was getting ready to walk into a pretty strong role with that Washington offense. Mm-hmm. So to see that him coming in, it's only going to take away a handful of carries from Swift or a handful of carries from Johnson, and not help help Adrian Peterson with any more carries at all. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I had a huge brain fart there.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think AP will give you, a couple serviceable weeks. I dropped him in one dynasty league, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But at the end of the day, it freed up. I grabbed a couple rookies, younger, that were on the wire. So, I'm not going to target him. I think I'm going to really just stay away from the entire Lions backfield this year.
Personally, I was starting to get a little hotter on Swift and starting to take that risk on him. But now that AP's there, it just made me fall off.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd still grab him in dynasty leagues or any
of course, yeah.
Any sort of a keeper league, possibly, where he might go undrafted at some point.
Right.
You can grab him with a late keeper pick, and maybe he turns out to be something.
Yeah, I mean, Swift is still going pretty high right now. He's going, current ADP is 59.6. So you're looking at getting him in that sixth round or so. So I think I'm going to avoid him there personally. But if you are in a keeper league, that could be a situation where you grab him. So let's move on. Lynn Bowden was traded to the Miami Dolphins. Lynn Bowden in a 6th for a 4th from Miami. So that kind of is telling. We were talking about it earlier. It's telling in regards to Josh Jacobs and the pass catching work that he's going to see an uptick in, I think. They do have Jalen Richard there, who will get some of that third down work in the pass catching game. But I do think that we're definitely going to see a pretty sizable uptick in his passing in his
pass catching role in that offense. But so I was someone who's been saying that through all the camp news, camp talk, and what we've seen, it's not something we would be expecting. But with these moves that they've just done, it doesn't seem like there's many other options for them to pass the ball anywhere else. I mean, Tyrell Williams just went down in a receiver for the season. So between the two running backs that they're going to have that are pass catchers, they do have Devonta Booker and there as a third running back, but he's more of a pure runner anyways. So I personally did just edit my Josh Jacobs, and he went all the way to my number 7 after redoing by giving him some more receptions and just a little bit more carries. He's actually someone I'm going to be pretty hot on now, someone I've been avoiding. But with this news, it kind of just reassures the fears I had
right.
that okay, I'm not too far off, but he might be a baller this year.
Right. I have him at 7 as well. I think he's going to be great.
He could be outstanding this year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens in that offense. I think he's destined, and he has the ability right now to be easily a number one running back. He's currently going ADP 8.9 and running back 7 off the board, I believe. 8, sorry. So definitely pick up Josh Jacobs if you can, if you're there. It's great to stack RBs with have him as your number 1 running back, and then you can grab like an Eckler or something as your 2.
That's a beautiful stack.
I like it. So let's move to Deebo Samuel. He was activated. So he is looking to play week 1. I'm not playing him. I don't think he will get a full workload personally if he does play, depending on what they do. The thing with him is, and we've talked about it since we started the podcast, his re-injury risk, it is high for the type of injury he had, and the production isn't typically the same after that injury for that first year. So hopefully he can get healthy or get healthier, come back and potentially give you those weeks that we were expecting for the entire season down the road.
Yeah, so we've been telling everyone to slowly fade away, but he's been falling in most drafts this year that I think he's gotten to that point to where he's almost a good pickup. So you're really just worried more about when is he going to come back. If he comes back week 1, obviously he missed the entirety of camp. He hasn't really been physical. So I know he's doing some side of the field drills with no pads and some running, but when can you expect him to be what he was last season, what you were expecting at the beginning of this offseason?
Right.
Right now he's going at the ADP of 84.3 to the back end of the 7th round.
Beginning 8th, 7th, somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
so the back end of the 7th, around the 8th round. So you might want to grab him at that point, depending on what kind of risk you're taking. If you're assured at the wide receiver position, you've got people that are going to be able to start at least the beginning of the season, and you're looking for people to break out later, he's the type of player that's almost an obvious breakout for later in the season, someone who's going to be going from not usable at the beginning of the year and then extremely usable at the end.
Yeah.
So I love Deebo this year. So
yeah, definitely. Agreed. I mean, it was a very unfortunate, but I'm glad he's back. But moving on to DeAndre Washington, he was released by the Kansas City Chiefs. Field Yates reported of ESPN. Darrell Williams is still there. Darwin Thompson, of course. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is there. I love Clyde Edwards this year. I think this helps him. And I think that he's going to get a ton of work. I currently have him as my running back 5. And I think he's going to get a ton of pass catching work.
Yeah, so personally, I already knew that Clyde Edwards was going to be the number 1 person in that backfield. I didn't think that it was going to be Darwin Thompson that was going to be the number 2 there with him. So DeAndre Washington being released from that backfield doesn't really mean too much for me as far as what I'm going to give Clyde Edwards there. I already had Clyde Edwards being the primary one there. And again, I have him personally sitting here up at my running back 9 in a half-point PPR league, which is where I think is a fairly safe thing. I mean, He has upside to end up higher, and DeAndre Washington leaving might be the point where that's going to happen. But you are drafting him extremely early. I mean, he's currently going ADP of 5.8.
Yeah, very early.
5 or 6th pick. I don't know if I want to risk that still, but
a lot of risk.
It's intriguing.
Yes.
It's intriguing for sure.
Very. So, Lamar Miller was released, and he did actually have a visit today with the Bills. So that backfield went from who knows to,
who knows?
Yeah. Well, and actually we're going to get to it, I think. Actually, yeah, let's just hit it right now. Damian Harris was put on IR, so he'll miss at least the first 3 weeks. Field Yates reported.
Go James White.
So James White, Sony Michel, they're there.
Sony Michel's still...
Is he still nicked up?
He's still nicked up. He's not. I think he's good to go. I don't have it in front of me.
I know he was practicing.
I know he's practicing, but I know he's not 100%. So I think James White's going to have a hell of a day.
Yeah.
Maybe Rex Burkhead for a couple snaps.
Yeah, could be. So definitely an interesting backfield. I like James White this year. I think I'm pulling John over to the dark side a little bit?
Especially in any type of PPR league, I think that just with Cam Newton there and it's being the Patriots offense, they're going to have a running back that gets a lot of pass catching opportunity, and it's Ben James White, and you're going to probably see it be James White.
Sweet. Love it. Mitch Trubisky was announced as the starter for the Chicago Bears.
I'm sorry for all you Bears fans. I know that Suicide Watch can get a little harsh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty interesting there. I mean, you're paying Nick Foles a crap ton of money to sit the bench.
Everyone's done it, but hey, maybe they're just going for that Eagles route. We're just going to use Nick Foles till he gets hurt. I'm sorry, use Mitch Trubisky till he gets hurt. Nick Foles will grind us through the playoffs and win us the Super Bowl. We'll let him go off to another team.
Boom. That's it. Book it. Bears for the Super Bowl. I'm just kidding.
No, far from it.
So, Keenan Allen, he agreed to a 4-year deal with the Chargers. Love to see that. Dude got paid. Boy.
He's the second highest paid wide receiver in the league now. So
deserves it.
He deserves it. Someone I've gotten really, really hot on.
Are we going to be talking about him later, John? I guess they'll have to find out, huh?
You might have to.
So, and then Preston Williams, last piece of news. Preston Williams is expected to play week 1 versus the Patriots. Love to see that for our Dolphins. Hometown guys right here. But I like Preston a lot this year. He's got a ton of upside. We saw it last year. He started to really flourish, especially with Ryan Fitzpatrick throwing him the ball. And hopefully they can just pick up right where they left off. And he could, grabbing him as late as you are, he really could.
Like you just said, he was going with Anthony Miller.
128.8.
Yeah.
So
that's a great late pickup with high upside, and that's what you're looking for in those late rounds.
Exactly. If I don't grab any other Dolphins, he's the Dolphin I'm grabbing later.
Yeah, if I don't grab Devontae Parker or Matt Breida or Mike Gesicki, then I'm definitely grabbing Preston Williams. It's the Dolphins offense. It's semi-scary to even think about and to say this, even as a fan, but I want at least one piece of that offense this year.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's my bias coming out, but I just think someone on that offense is going to produce just enough to be extremely relevant. I mean, we saw it last year between Devontae Parker and Mike Gesicki with high-end season-long finishes, and then Preston Williams having a lot of week-by-week high-end finishes as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I definitely – I know I don't think it's bias at all because I do think with Ryan Fitzpatrick being named the starter, he's going to be airing the ball out a ton. So – definitely will play to their strengths and help us win fantasy football. So that's it. That was our news for today. Ton of it. Keep an eye out. You'll see, all the rosters are down to 53, but people are going to start getting signed. And, you always see it here. People like AP, he just got signed. So you'll see vets getting signed different places. So just keep an eye out. We will keep you updated. But if there's no show the next, there's no show between now and Thursday. So if something happens Wednesday, just keep an eye out for it.
Yeah. So if you guys need to keep an eye out on anything, any huge news, make sure to check out our Instagram or Twitter where we do repost or find if anything huge comes out and we see it, we'll let you guys know about it there as well.
Yep.
And it's going to be at the Fantasy Tap. But so let's jump into the must-haves. You want to get started with your first one, the one you've done the most research on out of either of us.
Probably anybody who's anybody in fantasy football. I've done the most research on this guy. I love him. His name is Kenny Golladay, wide receiver for the Detroit Lions, baby. I wrote a huge article on him as to why I think he's going to be finishing as the wide receiver 2. Overall, in any format. We'll get to that a little bit later as well. Maybe that's a bold prediction. So currently he's going ADP 26.8, wide receiver 7 off the board. I love picking him up at the beginning of the third or the end of the second as preferably at the beginning of the third as my wide receiver 1. I can grab 2 stud running backs especially if I'm drafting at the very top of the draft, if I'm 1, 2, 4 or so, then I will I'll grab him and as my wide receiver 1 later on and stack up on my running backs. But last year, him and Matt Stafford were on fire at the beginning of the year. Last year they Golladay was on pace in those first 8 games, was on pace for 124 targets, 70 receptions, 1,280 yards, 14 touchdowns, with 2 fumbles. He finished the season as wide receiver 5, I believe, last year. And with Matt Stafford coming back, I think you're going to see a lot of the same that we saw at the beginning of the year. It's going to be they're going to be passing the ball a ton. And obviously they have Marvin Jones there, who is going to get a bunch of targets. I actually have Marvin Jones leading the team in targets because, he's also a great receiver, and you can pick him up late in the draft as well. But I think that the touchdown upside that Golladay has, along with the big plays that he can make, and the red zone targets he'll be getting, that is really going to push him up there, and that's why he's a must-have.
Yeah, I mean, I like your guy. I love to knock him. I have him as my 4th wide receiver off the board this year, personally, or as my 4th wide receiver. So I'm not as hot on him as you are. You kind of got me onto the hype train. I'm not going to lie. But he did finish last season as the ninth wide receiver as points per game. So, and that's with the depleted quarterback play. Marvin Jones himself, who had a good game. I mean, he only played 13 games last season, but he himself ended up as the 18th in points per game with 14.9. So even if Marvin Jones does take a good share of those targets away from him, if Marvin Jones plays a full 16 as Golladay plays a full 16, they were both able to be productive in that offense. They don't really seem to have that much of a threat in Amendola. So I'm not too worried about either of them. I think Golladay's shown himself to be an extremely dominant receiver. I don't think he's a top 5 talent, but I think with Matt Stafford airing it out the way he's going to, you're going to be able to see crazy numbers from him. And so I'm comfortable backing you up on that pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's also, he is pretty young. Last year was his 3rd year in the league. So I do think, we'll see him take another step forward. And eventually, I don't know, don't have a crystal ball, but eventually I do think he will be a top wide receiver in the league. Talent-wise, obviously there's some very talented receivers out there. One thing I really found interesting, though, when diving into him, into his stats and what he did last year, when Matt Stafford was on the field or healthy, he averaged 85.4% of snaps. Golladay did. And when Stafford got injured, he actually went up to 94 on the field for 94% of the offensive stats. So if he can be on the field as much as he was at the end of the season with the quarterback play of Matt Stafford, I think the sky's the limit for him.
Okay.
So, anyways, John, you want to get into your first must-have?
So I think my first must-have right now is someone who's really getting slept on. So I think you're getting an incredible value for him, and this is going to be Le'Veon Bell. I know I've spoken a little bit about him going into the season and at least a couple shows as far as value picks, and even through some of the camp news about possibly there being a 60-40 split between Le'Veon and Frank Gore going into this season coming up. I think that's just part of camp speak. Adam Gase never does what he says he's going to do.
He sucks.
So if anything, that makes me more confident that Le'Veon's going to be getting his share of the backfield. I think he's understood that they're paying the man.
Little reverse psychology there.
Yeah, they understand they're paying the man. Frank Gore's 37 years old right now. His son just played his freshman game of college football. So I just don't see them being able to run Frank Gore into the ground as a 40% share backhold or 40% share back. Their rookie running back did just get hurt. Perrine, who was sitting back there, I believe.
Michael Pirine.
So I don't see Le'Veon really not having a lot of opportunity. Last year, what held him back was just the offensive line play and the fact that he wasn't able to be productive. He was able to produce on these yards after contact in some situations, but when you look at it as a whole, he only had one breakaway run, which made his true yards per carry about 3.2. So when he's someone when in an offensive line situation like he was with Pittsburgh, where he had a great offensive line, he barely ever fell below that 4.0 mark. And with them spending that extra, they have a almost 4 out of 5 offensive linemen coming into the Jets this year are either drafts or new signs. So I think that them having a huge turnover in this offseason of offensive linemen and them finding players that they're comfortable using, I think he's going to have a more comfortable season in this backfield. He did come off of his season off. I think he's just going to be seeing more productivity than what he did with an equal amount of opportunity. So you're going to be finding someone who can who finished last season as the running back 16 in a PPR league with a little more efficiency in those runs. You can easily jump up those rankings to possibly a low end one to a mid end one. Mm-hmm. And when you're picking him up right now as the running back 21, 36 ADP, you're grabbing him as your second or third RB if you're going heavy RB, or maybe your first running back if you're going 2 wide receivers first. You're getting a good value on him, and he's someone who could be giving you a solid flex or running back 2 with some week running back 1 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I have cooled off. I am a little worried that Gore is going to take some work away from him. I did originally have him because he was originally our consensus running back 11. I have cooled off a little bit since then. I have him actually finishing right at that 17 mark now, which isn't horrible. But his upside is definitely a running back 1 because of the skill set. It's just as long as Adam Gase uses him correctly and will use him, that's really what's going to push him up. I mean, that's just, I guess, my biggest fear is a very risky play, but it could be very rewarding.
So if you're worried about the Frank Gore usage based off of Gase's comments, he did also say that they're going to be using Le'Veon as a wide receiver role as much as possible, more than they did last season. So if you believe the man, he's going to get more pass catching ability. So there's that upside in PPR. If you don't believe the man, Frank Gore's not going to get much of that timeshare. You still got a good opportunity there. Le'Veon Bell's your guy. Join the team.
Hopefully he's selling you guys. But all righty, let's move on to my next must-have, and that is Blake Jarwin, the tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't even realize that he was a must-have until I was actually going through my rankings. I currently have him as my tight end 5 finished. So in half PPR league. So right now he's ADP. He's
broke my laptop.
ADP is 155.2, tight end 18. So you're getting him at the very back end of the draft. Now people are reaching on him because he is starting to gain a little bit of traction. People, and obviously most people have drafted by now. I still have a couple, but if you're drafting in the future. So I have seen where people are reaching a little bit for him. So in that, 13, 12 round, 10.
I see some people letting him fall undrafted, and I see some people drafting around that Austin Hooper, Hayden Hurst mark. Mm-hmm. And then some people letting him and Goddard fall undrafted. Love him for you. Good pick again. I know you just stole him from me because if you didn't put him in there first, I would have grabbed him as one of mine.
Yeah, it's always a race sometimes when we have the same guys. Who's going to put him on the show doc first and claim him? But I know John's just as hot on him as I am. Last year, the tight ends received 21.1% of the target share from in that offense. They don't have anybody else to throw to. I mean, their tight ends are. I mean, Blake Jarwin's it. The only serviceable tight end.
Yeah, but have you seen the receiver core?
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I'm saying he's going to use his tight ends a lot. Blake Jarwin's going to be on the field a ton. And the good thing about Blake Jarwin too, similar to Jason Witten, is they block pretty well. So that's just going to get him on the field more. Last year, the route to blocking percentage for Blake Jarwin and for Jason Witten, pretty much. Blake Jarwin ran a route 87.4% of his snaps versus his blocking at 12.6%, and then Jason Witten was right there next to him, 87.7% of his snaps he ran a route versus 12.3% he was blocking. So they have the ability to block, and they are going to block, and they're going to use him to block, but that's just going to keep him on the field longer. You know, he's going to get those extra snaps because it's not like he's a Mike Gesicki where he comes off the field because he's not a great blocker, you know? So that's one reason why, you know, I like him. Last year, Jason Witten also finished as the tight end 12. So overall, finished as a tight end 1, and I think that's just Blake Jarwin's just going to slip right into that role and gain those extra receptions and targets. They don't. The one thing is they don't get too many deep targets. Jason Witten had 3, which was 34th in the league, and Blake Jarwin had 5. So, and that was 21st overall. So they're not going to get those huge plays, but they're going to get enough of the share, enough red zone touches, and targets to really bump them up in those rankings. Currently, I have Blake Jarwin statted out for 101 targets, 76 receptions, and 874 targets or yards. So
yeah. So again, I love Blake Jarwin. I do think that he's, you know, you just had Jason Witten there, got over 80 targets, as well as Blake Jarwin getting over his 40. So even with Jason Witten there, and you even mentioned even Jason Witten there, he got a decent share. Now he's taking over that role. Dak has always really had a great preference to throw to his tight ends and uses them effectively and efficiently. But just to clarify, there has been some reports out of camp this year saying that Blake Jarwin struggles and it could affect his playing time as far as blocking goes.
Oh, boy.
But you kind of even just pointed out yourself, obviously Jason Witten was the Cowboys' number 1 tight end, and his blocking percentage was just about the same as Blake Jarwin's.
Right.
So it's not that he's going to miss a good amount of playing time due to his blocking ability not being spectacular like a George Kittle or something. It's just last year he was only shadowed because someone who's a perennial Cowboy who's probably going to get a 1-day contract to retire as a Cowboy was there and is a possible Hall of Famer.
He's a Hall of Famer, I would say.
So you're looking at someone who was just going to be getting a share of snaps just due on talent and just him being there so long and having that role with that team. Blake Jarwin, without his blocking ability, is still someone who's going to be getting an immense amount of targets and a handful of touchdowns as well. So I think you're getting a lot of value. And I think when that news of his blocking came out, he went from someone a lot of people were hot on, because he was going a lot higher in drafts earlier in this offseason, and then he kind of took a tank recently. Mm-hmm. And I think that's due to this blocking news, and I don't think that's going to be hurting him. And so I would say capitalize on people's overreaction and take him. Even if you're grabbing him as your second tight end, if you're grabbing as your second tight end in any sort of super flex league or 2 tight end league, you're going to win your league. I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah. You're probably going to win your league. If you're going to be grabbing someone I have him as my 7th tight end. He's going up there really well. You're looking at a great guy that's a really solid choice for what we're doing here. And
he gives you the opportunity to stack on those running backs and wide receivers throughout the draft.
Absolutely.
Which is one reason why I like him. So taking him so late, super high upside. But anyways, John, you want to get into your next?
Yep. So my next guy was just named the starting quarterback for week 1 for a team he was just signed to. You know, he lost the Super Bowl. This is going to be Cam Newton.
Oh, boy.
Mr. Newton himself with that new hairstyle coming in strong for the New England Patriots at 31 years old. I think it's time for him to win that Super Bowl.
You think they're going?
It's not a lock.
Not a lock.
It's not a lock. But I do really love Cam Newton. I think he's someone who's at the moment he's going at ADP of 119, 120. The only reason you're going to miss out on him is if someone else is reaching for him. So I think you're going to be grabbing someone who's going to have almost a guaranteed wide receiver 1 finish. I currently at the moment have him going as my quarterback 8 off the board. And that's honestly semi-conservative. I was a little worried about what he's going to be able to do at that year off. And this is actually with my stats prior to him having that full quarterback 1 news released. So I think that right now when you're grabbing him in the 12th round or the 10th round, you're getting a late round quarterback you've been stacking up throughout your draft. He's had multiple high-end finishes. as a quarterback with the Carolina offense, only having a true number one receiver for a couple of those years. A lot of people want to knock his ability this year due to the fact of them not having any really strong receivers. But they did just spend that first round draft pick on N'Keal Harry. They do still have Julian Edelman, who's finished last year as a really solid wide receiver, won it by the finish of the season in a PPR league. James White's still there, Sony Michel, and when Damian Harris comes back semi-healthy, he'll be good to go too. I think he has plenty of opportunity. I don't think he's going to have that rushing upside that he used to have.
Right.
But even with that reduced, you're going to be getting a great season from him, and you're going to be getting a lot of opportunity. And I think he's someone with that late pick can win you your league as well.
100%. 100% agree. Love Cam Newton, especially for where he's going. He's going to get, on the goal line. We've seen Belichick did it with Brady. On the goal line, he'll use the quarterback sneak. And Cam is definitely a big enough guy to do that. So I think he will get a couple rushing touchdowns as well. But real quick, there's been a little bit of breaking news.
Oh, surprise me.
All right, James Robinson has been named the starter for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, I love that because I just picked him up in a league.
Yeah, I know. I saw. I just checked. Before I announced it, I went and checked in all our leagues.
You're a jerk.
Oh boy,
I picked him up. Oh, nice. Oh man, I hope I picked him up in the league. I was just complaining because I had Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette in them.
Ooh, that's rough. You have him in our dynasty league or my dynasty league that you.
No, dang. And I'm assuming he's gone in this one then.
Yep, I already checked.
Of course you did.
So, anyways, let's get into my final must-have. And this is kind of a different one based on the fact that I personally believe at the end of the season, he's going to help you win your leagues. And that is J.K. Dobbins. Currently ADP 62.7, running back 30 off the board. He's not going to have a great start to the season. He's going to be splitting that backfield with Mark Ingram. However, I do think, if something happens, first of all, if something happens to Mark Ingram, he'll have the backfield to himself. But I do think that by the end of the season, Dobbins will be taking the majority of the snaps, maybe like a 60%, 65% share, which is going to be plenty for him. I'm an Ohio State fan, so I've seen what he can do on the field. He's very explosive, hits those home run plays. So at the end of the league or at the end of the year, I do think that he is going to take that next step and help you win your fantasy football leagues. I mean, that's just based on his upside and his talent. And the team he's with. I mean, the Ravens, obviously, they ran the ball the most last year.
Because you have a quarterback who runs it over 150 times.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, that no receiver last year had over 1,000 yards on that team. And I think they may be heading
that was because of the 3 tight end set as well.
And I think that's probably going to happen again this year. I don't see Marquise Brown getting over 1,000. I see him getting close, but
they only rostered 2 tight ends on the 53-man roster.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so they might be looking for that third, but they did have 3 tight ends get cut on cut day. So, if anything, I think that kind of opens them up more to your receiver. Their receivers kind of get a bump there, but I do think that's going to lead them more to relying on that run game when you have Dobbins and Ingram there. You cannot deny those 2 talents. I mean.
And he can pass, and he's a very good pass catcher.
I was gonna say you've seen. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to be someone we're going to be comparing to Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara in the next couple of years. Someone we were going to be like, okay, he has this pass catching ability, he has this running ability.
He's very well tooled.
He's a multi tool there. And with Mark Ingram in the backfield, you've seen Mark Ingram be happy to be a number 2 running back for a team with the Saints there. I think he's going to be someone who still allows his running back to be useful. So I don't think he takes away that much when he does lose that number 1 role. So I like your pick there again. So it's hard to argue with you.
Yeah, I know. I made it pretty. I picked some good ones. I do think obviously if when you grab him is based on who you have for your running back 1 and 2. Like
Absolutely.
when I take him, I already have 2 running backs. If I don't, I'd still consider it, but it's risky at that point.
Agreed.
So J.K. Dobbins, pick him up. Go RB heavy. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. J.K. Dobbins in with that 5th pick.
Okay.
6th pick.
Oh, 6th pick, yeah. Okay. So my next guy, my last guy, and like I said earlier, someone I've been getting really, really hot on lately, and I've been picking up in every draft that I've been doing in the past week and a half. It's going to be Keenan Allen, like we said, 2nd highest paid receiver in the league. He's going to be getting that Chargers money, and I think he's going to be producing. I mean, we just had Mike Williams possibly missing games through September. He's working himself in. He's obviously been a number 1 receiver for that team. With Mike Williams out, Melvin Gordon gone, Austin Eckler emerging. Hunter Henry's going to be there this year, but I just don't see Hunter Henry being able to finish the full season. And I don't think that even if he does, that's going to be taking anything away from Keenan Allen. Last year, he finished as the wide receiver 6 in a PPR league, and 2 years before that, finished as the wide receiver 3 back in 2017. So I think you're going to be getting somewhere in that look. If he can get anywhere more than the 6 touchdowns he's been getting over the past 3 years, that could easily push him into somewhere where we're possibly looking at a top 5 receiver. And it's the only thing holding him back from being able to do that and me being super confident and ranking him up there with no holdback is because Tyrod Taylor's there. He's not the most accurate quarterback. He doesn't throw the most passes out there. He tries to be mobile, but he is older since he's had a full starting job. So maybe he's not willing to do that, and maybe and this is conjecture, maybe he's going to sit back in the pocket a little bit more, not rush the ball so many times, and throw the ball out. The offensive coordinator is still the same. So you're still looking at the same scheme. Mm-hmm. So I see Keenan Allen as someone who right now is going at the ADP of 57.8, making him the 23rd receiver off the board. I think his floor is like wide receiver 18. He's just going to be getting that opportunity in those targets, with his ceiling being, again, somewhere in the top 10 receivers.
Mm-hmm. 100%. I 100% agree with you. The great thing about Keenan Allen, I'm comfortable having him as my wide receiver 1. It gives me that opportunity to really stack up on my running backs in the first couple rounds. You can even take him as your wide receiver 2. You know, if you grab somebody around that Calvin Ridley portion of the draft as your wide receiver 1, then you have, you stack your 2 running backs, 2 really solid wide receivers. He gives you that option, and definitely has the ability and potential to finish as a wide receiver 1. So I agree with you there. I do like Keenan Allen. I think I have him as my, let me pull it up real quick. I have him as my, I believe it's wide receiver 17. Yes, I have him as my wide receiver 17. So he is returning on investment.
Yeah, I had to restat him after Mike Williams and everything else that's happened with the Chargers offense. I've got him up to wide receiver 12. And I'm comfortable with him there.
Mm-hmm. Definitely it's definitely a highly likely, high possibility.
I like it, yeah.
So beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, those were our must-haves of 2020. Go pick them up. Go win your leagues. I mean, those are the players that are going to do it. We named tight ends, running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, all of them. Pick them up. You know what? If I'd be pretty comfortable with having all of them on my team.
I was going to say, that'd be a pretty decent team. We just need you got Cam Newton, your starting quarterback, Keenan Allen, and Kenny Golladay, Blake Jarwin, J.K. You could actually draft this team.
Yes, 100%.
That's actually funny. I didn't even look at that.
Beautiful. Well, that's what we do. We hope you guys win. Grab all 6 of them. Pat us on the back later. Thank us, whatever. Send in your beer recommendations. That's your thanks to us.
Yeah.
So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our bold predictions of 2020. We've got some good ones. We've talked about a couple of them already, kind of mentioned it. My first bold prediction is, and I'm not going to go into detail because I just talked about it and there's a whole blog on it. Kenny Golladay, overall wide receiver 2 across all formats. Point blank, period. Done. Go read about it on our website, thefantasytap.com. Goes very into depth, and we just talked about it a couple minutes ago, too.
Good luck with that one. I hope you enjoy that target on your back for a lot of people that might take some other people over him. Good luck, man.
Thanks.
Wish you the best.
Appreciate it.
So my first bold prediction right now is I see Phillip Lindsay and project Phillip Lindsay to have a better finish in all formats, higher than Melvin Gordon. I think Philip Lindsay's too talented in that backfield, and at the most is going to be doing a 50-50 share. I think Philip Lindsay's actually going to have a more efficient share, and that Melvin Gordon's pretty much just garbage, hot garbage.
Hot garbage, huh?
And I almost make fun of people when I'm in drafts and I see them grab him.
Hopefully he's not a listener.
You're hot garbage. Philip Lindsay, hopefully you listen to this so you can tell the teammates he told not to listen to.
Yeah.
But no, I just think that Philip Lindsay is just way too talented for Melvin Gordon to have such a share that he's usable, especially at the ADP he's going. And I think Philip Lindsay's actually more talented and will have a better finish. And I would stake my claim on that.
You did stake your claim on that.
I am.
Yeah. Planted your flag. Boom. Done. My next bold prediction, David Johnson won't finish in the top 24 running backs. I do not like him this year. I feel like he is my Melvin Gordon to you, I guess.
Okay. Fair enough.
I make fun of people anytime they draft David Johnson. He is older. I like the guy. He's a very good guy. From obviously seeing him on social media and press conference and stuff like that, seems like a really sincere dude. But we saw it last year. You know, he's not the same David Johnson he was a couple years ago. And I hate taking him. Currently, he's ADP 27.4. And I know a lot of people are hot on him. Right now, he's going around some other running backs, such as Todd Gurley right behind him, Chris Carson right in front of him, James Conner, Lev Bell, Jonathan Taylor. Those guys are going around him. I'm going to take all of them over him, and not bad enough. So he's not going to finish in the top 24 running backs. I love it. I'm very confident about that one.
All right, so this is my bold take that I've already received a decent amount of heat for.
Yeah.
My take is Mike Evans will not finish as a top 15 receiver this year.
Dun, dun, dun.
I do not see that being possible with the new offense that's coming into Tampa Bay. He's not the type of receiver for that quarterback that's going to be giving him those deep balls to give him those yards on those receptions. At most, he's going to be getting touchdown upside just because of his body. But with Gronkowski being there, the upgrades of Leonard Fournette in the running back game, the emergence of Chris Godwin.
O.J. Howard's still there.
The O.J. Howard situation.
Cameron Brate's still there.
Cameron Brate, Scotty Miller, Ronald Jones, Keyshawn Vaughn. There's just as many targets in that offense, or just as many mouths to feed in that offense as someone like the Browns, or
more.
Yeah, more. And so he's not going to be their number one with who's there. It's more than likely going to be Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin's going to be getting the biggest upside from Brady being there, and the biggest one hurt, in my opinion, is going to be Mike Evans. Still going to be someone who's extremely talented. I love Mike Evans, not this Melvin Gordon situation. Love him. Love Mike Evans'
We
play.
love you, Mike.
Extremely talented. Just not going to be getting that opportunity for a fantasy football finish, especially when that range of like 6 to 20 is just so competitive as far as points go as finishes. He will have a few weeks. It's just not going to be predictable. And someone I'm personally staying away from when he's going right now as the wide receiver 8 off the board, right behind Kenny Golladay and above Adam Thielen, with Chris Godwin going 2 before him. Too much risk, not enough opportunity. Going to have to stay away from him, and I don't see him finishing in the top 15. You can read my article about it on our website, thefantasytap.com, where I kind of go more into depth and explain why Brady's not the quarterback for him.
Dun, dun, dun. All righty, and let's get into our last hot take. And this is, like we said at the beginning, one that we agreed on. We talked about Carson Wentz. He's going to finish outside of the top 15 quarterbacks. I don't think he has the weapons. I know he's got Ertz there and Goddard, but
that's about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Jalen Rager's there, but he's already hurt. They're possibly talking about putting him on IR, but luckily he made the 53-man roster without that.
Alshon Jeffrey. Up in the air.
I mean, you're really looking at Deshaun Jackson as your number one receiver.
Pick him up.
Pick him up. He's a great waiver filler if you hate someone that you drafted, or maybe you picked up someone who maybe you picked up Lamar Miller to be a flex running back weeks ago, and then decide, oh crap, he's gone now. Let me cut him. I think he's got a lot of opportunity.
Yep. So, anyways, Carson Wentz, Not going to finish in the top 15.
No, just not someone who's even I don't even expect him to stay healthy enough. Does not have the talents around him, and just don't see it happening. I know that he's currently going pretty high in drafts. Do you know what
ADP is 106.3.
Wow. Really? Okay. Still staying away from him. Yeah, I'm taking. So he's going right in front of right behind Matt Stafford, right in front of Cam Newton, even Daniel Jones and Ben Roethlisberger. I'd take Cam Newton, Big Ben.
The question is Daniel Jones or
I was hoping you wouldn't ask
Carson Wentz.
Can I avoid both of them?
Nope.
I'd take Daniel Jones on upside, and then if he doesn't work out, I'm streaming anyways. I just don't want Carson Wentz because I feel like I'm already not. I feel like he's good enough to where I'm going to play him if I have him, but he's going to underperform some weeks that are going to make me lose my week.
Yep. And I have him in a couple leagues or at one dynasty league, and it's miserable. Yeah. His upside is great. He's got great upside.
Yeah, it's the upside. It's just unpredictable, inconsistent, and he misses when it hurts the most. Yeah,
exactly. He really does. And I mean, he has finished as quarterback 5 in 2017, quarterback 10 in 2019. And I think that a lot of people see him in those 2017 glasses. They have those 2017
they still have the Super Bowl.
And he's been injured, unfortunately, and he's just not that quarterback.
And he doesn't have the weapons either.
So
I mean, they struggled on receivers this entire offseason. I mean, they even drafted a second-string quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And Carson Wentz, someone who's already missed some camp time due to some day-to-day injuries.
Yep.
So just stay away from him personally. Even if you're an Eagles fan, grab yourself another quarterback. There's a lot more upside in other places. Cam Newton, even Big Ben I like a lot too, who's going later than him. Drew Lock, if you really want to take a shot, but just stay away from Stafford. Definitely not a top 15.
Wentz.
Stay away from Wentz, sorry.
Don't stay away from Stafford.
Grab Stafford. Stay away from Wentz. Definitely not a top 15 quarterback and someone I wouldn't want to have in my rosters.
Boom. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, those are our must-haves. Those are our bold predictions for the 2020 season. One more question for John before we get into this beer of the day. Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Miami Dolphins.
Woo!
No, I'm just kidding. Realistically, I hate to be chalky, but probably I'd love to see the Chiefs and the Buccaneers playing in Tampa. I just don't know I don't think the Buccaneers are going to make it through the playoffs. I think they'll make the playoffs. I don't think they'll make it through the playoffs. I personally see the Seahawks or the 49ers making it all the way through to the Super Bowl, playing either the Chiefs or the Ravens. I think the Chiefs' whole round team is just a little more stacked than the Ravens, and I think the X factor that Patrick Mahomes gives you is a little bit more efficient than with a rounded team than what Lamar Jackson gives you.
Mm-hmm.
And I see Kansas City beating them again and getting into that Super Bowl. And I see the Chiefs winning it. The only thing holding the Seahawks back personally would be their offensive line. The 49ers, I don't think they're going to have the same season they did last year.
Yeah. For me, I'm going Baltimore Ravens. They got a chip on their shoulder from last year, losing the way they did. They didn't even score a freaking touchdown in the playoffs against the Titans. 14-3. That was
horrible. They haven't won a playoff game.
Yeah, it's rough. So
I don't see them winning multiple back-to-back to get all the way through.
I think they will. I think that John Harbaugh is such a good coach, and I think that Lamar is – I mean, we've seen Lamar everybody keep putting, he can't do it. He can't do it. And I'm not saying you are.
Okay.
I'm just saying, that has been the stigma. Oh, he can't win the playoffs now. Nope. He can't be a quarterback. Nope. So he's gonna come and he's gonna he's going to win those games. He's gonna get to the Super Bowl. He's gonna be playing the Dallas Cowboys as much as I hate it, and he's gonna be beating them in Tampa.
The Cowboys, really?
I do. Yeah, I wanted to bring that up too. I think the Cowboys have a pretty solid team and a ton of potential. I mean, their offense and their defense is great. So,
do you think they're gonna be signing Earl?
I don't know. If they do, then book it. I mean, put your money now. And they may even win the whole thing. But right now I have it as Ravens, Cowboys, Super Bowl, which would be great, something different. Ravens taking it home. So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Those are our bold predictions, like I said. Let's get into our beer of the day. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we are drinking on the Elysian Space Dust IPA out of Seattle, Washington. Very bitter beer. Very bitter IPA. You can definitely get that hoppiness and that extreme hoppiness, that extreme bitterness. It is one of the higher IBUs we have done. Elysian Brewing Company was founded in 1996. They've been doing it for 24 years. Currently, they have 3 locations in Seattle. All of them are in Seattle. So check out their website, ElysianBrewing.com, and you can see, if you're in the Seattle area, check out where all the tap rooms are located. Like John said at the beginning, the bottle is pretty dope. It's got a little hop blowing space dust out his mouth.
Yes, and that's actually a Chinook hop.
Is that what a Chinook hop?
Yes.
Great info.
I looked at it online before we actually just brought this up. But yeah, this is, again, another great IPA that we've drank. Again, as everyone knows, I'm not the biggest IPA guy, but did really enjoy the one that we had here today. Came in really strong on the hop flavor and smell as you get into it, but it does have a nice little sweetness rounding it out on both sides. With an ABV of 8.2%, hits you a little hard. It's a solid beer to drink. It's not heavy. Which is what you see with some more of the bitter beers. They can come in kind of heavy. But this one, IBU of 73, extremely bitter, but again, rounds out with a nice sweetness. Bitterness is really kind of sitting on the back of my tongue, on the underneath of it, but with most of my palate still staying kind of sweet. Definitely not a dry beer. Not getting that dry aftertaste.
Nope.
Really enjoying it. It does pour a nice, really bright golden. So nice little beer to look at. Aroma-wise, you're getting hit with that nice little hoppy smell, straight up, right to the face. You know it's gonna be an IPA.
Yeah.
And then when you take that,
a little fruity.
when you take,
you get a little.
You get a little fruity. I think that's gonna be a little of the citrusy smell from the Citra hops, and that's what's gonna give you that sweetness and the bitter cutting flavor. So I actually really enjoyed this. This is going to be probably one of my favorite IPAs that I'm going to be reviewing out here. So our buddy Aaron, good job on you. Thanks for the recommendation. Little did I know, I thought I saw one of these in the refrigerator in college.
Yep, pretty much.
So really enjoy it. And
you can also check out their website, ElysianBrewing.com, and click the beer finder. So you can find it it's pretty much sold, it's sold all over the country. So check it out, see how close it is to you. Pick one of these up and have one. John, what's your rating for this?
See, I'm trying to think still. I think I'm going to give it, and I don't want to be too, I don't want to give it too much love, but I want to be fair. I think I'm going to give it like an 8.4.
Whoa.
Like it's fairly good. It's definitely my favorite IPA that I've had so far on this show. Not my favorite IPA I've ever drank, but a solid one. And I could drink this happily, even though it's a little bitter for my palate, but I could work up to it.
Yeah, it's definitely a good one. I'm gonna give it a 7.8. Very good beer. Not my favorite. It's not my favorite IPA. It's not my go-to IPA, but overall, it's pretty good. It's very bitter, and I'll have 2 of these. I probably won't be drinking any more of that because I think 1 to 2 is like the perfect amount for this one, just because it is so bitter. I don't like that bitterness constantly like that. But overall, 7.8, pretty good score.
Nice.
So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching on YouTube. We really appreciate the support. Like we said at the beginning, we are actually, let me check real quick. I think we're probably at that mark.
No, there's no way.
You don't think so?
Did
we are at 1,000 downloads, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have
live on show. We just found out ourselves. Congrats, dude.
Yes,
awesome.
Dude. Oh my gosh. Thank you everybody for listening. That is, oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
We can't thank you enough. Oh my gosh. I love seeing that.
That's great. That mean awesome. In the amount of the show, we've had a handful of downloads that push us over the edge.
Yep, definitely.
Thank you, everyone, for your support again. Really appreciate it. Continue to support. Share it with your friends. I know that it's getting into that season time, so fantasy football is only becoming more and more relevant. And this is the time where week by week, even casual players are going to be jumping by. So if you have anyone that's annoying you by just texting you because they know you're the fantasy football guy, just send them to us.
Yeah.
We'll take care of them. If they want to DM us and bug us, we'll help them out. We have no problems with it. So make sure you guys send any of your guys' fantasy football advice. Now we're getting into that start-sit time. We got the first game coming Thursday. So if you have any start-sit questions, you guys want any roster changes, trade advice, send it to the @thefantasytap on Twitter and Instagram, or any of that beer advice there as well. And if you guys want to send that to us in an email, you can do that thefantasytap@gmail.com, where we will help you guys with anything you need, and we could really use some more beer recommendations from you guys.
Yep.
If you guys want to either send the recommendations to us or even have possibly just send us a case of beer, get in contact with us. We'll figure out whatever we need to do, and we'll take care of that. But we would love whatever we can get from you guys.
100%. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we are ironing out before next show, obviously, what exactly our schedule is going to be for our weekly shows coming into the season. Obviously, it's our first season doing this, so it's going to be there's going to be a learning curve. Any recommendations you guys have, anything you want to hear, just let us know, and we can, work that in. I did have somebody DM us on Instagram, which is pretty cool, with a recommendation. So we will be taking those into consideration and trying to figure out ways to get the best information to you guys, I guess. So thank you again, everybody, for listening. I can't stop smiling. I can't stop
awesome.
smiling.
I'm really happy to see that. I really didn't expect it, especially when we just checked at the beginning of the episode. So that's awesome to see that it's being pretty active. Love you guys so much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. And we will see you again on Wednesday.
Yes, for our Thursday night preview. We're here, baby. All right, guys, have a great day. Love you.